Hello there. I wonder if this is showing up. I'm TC. This is MBR Armenia. So, yeah, if you're seeing this, please share it out. Let me know that you're here. I'm wondering if it's working. It was acting funky. There we go. Here we are. Oh, please share this out. I scheduled it earlier and it removed it, and I don't know. I don't know. Probably because I used the name of Donald Trump. They can say what they want, but we know that they still don't like him. But here we are. Give everybody a couple of minutes to tune in. It is January 21st. We have completed a full 24 hours of Donald Trump having been inaugurated. Hey, STD, good to see you. Pam, good to see you. I want to give a big shout out to Rochester, Minnesota K-9 unit driving by, going well over the speed limit with no lights or anything on. Hopefully I can download that when I get home, so I can, I don't know, it drives me crazy when cops speed. Hey, Lulu. Minnesota state statute says that you are supposed to, if you're a law enforcement officer and you are responding to a call, you are required to run lights and sirens and drive with due care. And this guy was clearly not running lights and sirens and was driving well over the speed limit as he flew by all of us. And I am going to see if I can get that downloaded from my dash cam from, what time is it here? It was about 9 after 5 Central. So we'll put that up as a interesting little aside. But anyway, big shout out to my show producers, Tav from here on YouTube. Thank you, Tav, for all that you do for the channel. Shout out to iMav, who is a show producer from over on Subscribestar. Thank you for what you do for the channel. Thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much for being here. Hey, Lemmy, good to see you. Thank you to all the channel members. Thank you to all the subscribers. Thanks to all of the regular viewers. I even want to say thank you to the hate watchers, because I know I have a few of those. Everybody's got hate watchers. Hate watchers are good for the algorithm. Hate watchers are they're like ambulance chasers. You know, those lawyers that seem to show up after every single car accident or traffic incident or whatever. They're always right there whenever something bad happens, and they're there to offer your help. Well, that's hate watchers. Hate watchers are really good for that. They drive you up in the algorithm. They follow you around, say bad things about you, come back, comment. Keeps your content alive. So yeah. For those of you that don't know, I launched a Substack and have now been publishing on it regularly. You can find my Substack rather easily. Just look for TC of MBRR, TC of Minnesota Black Road Regiment, and you will find my Substack. I am actively writing. Okay, we got somebody that's going at an incredibly reduced rate of speed now. I don't know why. And now this person doesn't want to let me in. I just don't understand people. That's 2 dash cam videos I'm going to be able to download. Anyway, what is Substack? Substack is kind of a cancellation-free environment where you can write and comment on whatever topics that are near and dear to you. And I am going to be talking about corruption in government, the state, problems with policing in the United States, and I'm also going to be sharing my memoirs, stories from my life over there, and also some of my poetry and my fiction. So, yeah, I'm a writer, and it's all, honestly, it's my only skill, my only talent is writing. And so I started it because Josh Slocum from the Disaffected podcast asked me to write a series of essays or articles for Disaffected Substack, and so he added me as a paid member to his Substack, so I could see and interact with people when they would read my articles, my essays. And that meant I had to create an account. And so I created the account, and I said, hey, I can use this as basically a blog. So it's where I go to vent. But yeah. So anyway, check out my Substack. It's a lot of work to get published, and that's what Substack's good for. So if you prefer to read, especially if you want to read my Substack has free subscriptions, and then my poetry and my fiction will be behind the membership only side. And my poetry and my fiction is a lot different than my YouTube content, my other platform content, obviously. So I write a lot of psychological thrillers, if you will. I don't know if I'd call it horror fiction, but it's definitely got some psychological. It's more psychological in its bent. Explores topics like people going insane. It has talks a lot about relational dynamics and whatnot. So that's where the fiction will be coming from. My poetry is just whatever kind of hits me, and I write. I free verse. I do not do rhythmic poetry. I can't stand sing-song, rhymey poetry. There are very few people that do it and do it well, and it is easy to rhyme. Rhyming is easy. And free verse is far different. A lot of people think that free verse is the easier way to write poetry. A lot of people think that free verse is kind of a cheater's way of claiming that they're a poet, but free verse is actually it's a skill, because it's a lot like writing prose, only with prose you're actually describing scenes and scenarios and situations and individuals and their personalities with very specific words, and you might use some allegory or some similes or metaphors in prose, but free verse poetry is bent towards communicating a message strictly through comparative dialogue or writing. And so I could describe a scene while I'm driving in prose and say, as I was driving along the road, and this is going to be very simple, as I was driving along the road, I experienced black ice at the worst possible moment, and in heavy traffic had to slam on my brakes, therefore causing an accident. That's narrative prose. Where free verse poetry, you would describe that in a completely different way, using nothing but imagery to talk about what actually took place, and then leave that in the lap or the mind of the person who reads it to go, wow, like this has some, like this could mean so many things. And that's why I love free verse, because free verse just gives so much room for people to be able to read it and go, wow, there's some depth here, there's some meaning here, I can relate to this. Where when you relate to prose, you are relating to what's being described and then comparing that to a very specific situation that might have taken place in your life. So if you've ever been driving down the road, unexpectedly encountered black ice, and I'm describing a black ice situation, you are taken into that moment with me, and you're understanding it from your perspective and what you felt like. Where a person who's never experienced black ice is going to go, that sounds scary, but I don't understand. So anyway, on to what I was going to talk about. So I wanted to talk about Trump's inauguration, some of his promises, some of his I wanted to talk about pardons, which are part of the promises, and maybe even talk about, hi Jen, hi Chris, good to see you. Hey, Pat Dennis is here, good to see you. So I wanted to start out with some positives, right? And I want to get this out of the way, because that's one of the things that I get from all of the people who are absolutely adoring Donald Trump, right? What you've run into here in the U.S. is that you cannot say anything negative about Donald Trump to anybody who is an ardent supporter of Donald Trump. They will, even if they acknowledge that what you're saying is true, they will still blame his enemies for the decisions he made. Case in point, in 2020, Donald Trump is the one who made the decision to declare a nationwide or a countrywide emergency over COVID. Right? He made that decision. That paved the way for every single governor who shut their state down to have the ability and the authority to shut their state down and then rely on federal money to keep their state going if need be. So Donald Trump to declare a national emergency, a nation, I hate using nation because the United States is not a nation. I've got to remind myself of that when I'm talking to people. His decision to do that paved the way for the destruction of the economy, because after he shut down the economy with his declaration of an emergency, he then also had to support all the states that stayed in lockdown, like Minnesota, California, New York, and Michigan, and on and on and on and on and on. And that led to the CARES Act, which was what everybody called their Trump check, and all this money going out. Well, the only way to fund that was for the Federal Reserve to reach out to the federal mints and print more worthless dollars, thereby weakening the dollar, which then made the economy begin to tank. And you point this out, and they're like, well, he didn't have a choice. What was he supposed to do? They set him up. Okay, so what is it? Is Donald Trump so smart that he's playing 5D chess and he knew what they were doing to him and he allowed it to happen? Or did he make this decision to shut the country down and he didn't care about the damage? There's no other way around it. Nope, they blame Joe Biden and Harris and everybody else, which then leads me back to, here's this problem. What you're saying is he got outsmarted. Well, then he's not playing 5D chess, and if he is, he's not playing it very well. Those are your only options. It's the only way to look at it. It's the only way for us to really think about that problem is to say, like, he got outwitted. So he's maybe not the genius that everybody says he is. So I do want to start off and say that Donald Trump made some really good promises yesterday. He did some good things. He declared a border emergency. I do believe that we have a border emergency. And it's good that he declared a border emergency. It's good that he said, I'm putting the United States military on notice. They're going on the border. That is phenomenal. That's an absolutely great decision. He wants to raise tariffs on foreign countries. I believe tariffs can be a good thing if they're done right. What Donald Trump's doing is he's using them as a threat. And if you look at the history of tariffs in the United States, up until the institution of the income tax across the board with the amendment that codified income tax, the federal government's budget was funded almost entirely on tariffs. There was no income tax in the United States at the federal level. So here you sit with a president promising tariffs. Great. The problem is you can't eliminate the income tax. So ultimately tariffs are going to be bad. Okay? He promised to end, that we're not going to get involved in any more wars. He promised that he's not going to get us, or he's going to review the amount of money that we're handing out to other countries. That's awesome. I don't think we should be giving money to any country at all. We should not be giving any money to any country in the world anywhere, to include Israel. No more money for anyone. Keep our money here where it belongs. Cut them all off. You want to see peace in the Middle East? Stop funding Israel. Stop backing Israel up. That's how you get peace in the Middle East. The reason that Israel gets away with what they get away with is because we give them all the money to buy all the bombs and all the guns and all the bullets to kill Middle Easterners. And then we stand behind them and say, don't mess with our little brother, because Israel owns Congress. Israel owns the White House. Israel owns Donald Trump. Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law, his family used to host Benjamin Netanyahu in their home whenever he would fly into New York to give his propaganda speeches to the United Nations. Fact. It's a fact. Like, Jared Kushner is literally gave up his bedroom and his bed to Bibi Netanyahu. And I'm supposed to believe that doesn't influence Donald Trump? Are you kidding me? How stupid do you have to be to think that that's somehow not going to impact the American wage slave taxpayers? Well, hey, Mickey, thanks for stopping by. love to see you here. If you guys haven't seen it yet, Mickey was on with Skipper and I a week and a half ago for a live episode of Veteran Nation where we talked about his dad, who was the last South Vietnamese Army pilot to fly out of Vietnam during the fall of the fall of Saigon. And Mickey and his family were on that Chinook helicopter. It's a really entertaining conversation, very eye-opening. So head over to the Veteran Nation and look for that conversation. So Mickey's a great guy, incredibly encouraging conversation. So I look at Trump from my libertarian perspective, and he did some good things. Shut down the border, right? Good. Really phenomenal. Like, we cannot sustain this country. All electric vehicles and all electric everything. We cannot sustain this country on wind power and solar power. We just can't. We cannot do it. It will destroy this country to take away petroleum-based fuel generation and coal-based fuel generation. Unless the way that we do that is to go to France's model of nuclear power. The way France does it is they build very small, very contained, self-isolated nuclear reactors for generating power. That's the route we should be heading. Absolutely 100% the most efficient form of electric production is nuclear. It's also safer than everything else, regardless of the horror stories that they tell you about nuclear. So it's an absolute travesty that we're not looking at more nuclear. But yeah, right now, drill baby drill, like, help the economy. I'm absolutely all for that. I'm all for not weaponizing federal, state, county, and city law enforcement against peaceful, law-abiding people. I'm all for that. Now, Donald Trump can only control at the federal level, right? Absolutely 100% cannot control anything but the federal level. Donald Trump cannot control what happens at the state level. He cannot control what happens at the county level, and he can't control what happens at the city level. Now, I'm having an argument with a fan of the show, a friend, a supporter, a person who's supported by buying merchandise, who's supported by giving money to the show. But we're having an argument, and this supporter is very mad at me because I'm like, he said, look, there's only two genders, period. That's great. Wonderful policy. There's one policy for the federal government. As the executive, as the chief executive of the federal government, he has every right. We're not playing that game at the federal level anymore. Not look at the individual sovereign states and say, this is your policy too. Now, he can say, look, we think this is the best way. And so Jugs asks the question, what about at the border? No, the border is federal. The border between the states are borders between the states. And Interstate Commerce Clause of the Constitution addresses interstate commerce, how things can happen. It addresses why we are all on one form of currency. But the president can go down to the federal border, whether it be the coasts, or he can go to the northern border with Canada, and he can control what happens at those borders because those are international borders. And they should be monitored. They should be controlled. They should be patrolled. I do believe that if you're going to use a military on an active level, that's where the United States military should be patrolling the borders. We are the largest country with an uncontrolled military border. That is what the military should be doing. If we're going to have a standing military, that's what we should be doing. We should not be projecting the power of the United States military out into the world. Now, that brings me to the second part of Trump declaring a border emergency. Lil Lou, you'd have to explain to me what's crazy. I don't understand. By the way, if you're watching, you haven't shared, please do. Hit the thumbs up. Double tap the screen if you're watching on a mobile device. The second part of the second part of the border emergency being declared that I have a problem with is what he said following declaring a border emergency. And it's his declaration of the cartels being international terrorist organizations. That's very important. Oh yeah, absolutely insane, Lou. Absolutely insane. Like we are the largest country in the world with no militarily patrolled border. It's absolutely insane. So I agree with you. So Donald Trump did declare a border emergency. Absolutely great. Shut the border down. No more coming into the country illegally. However, the part that matters the most to that is his declaration that cartels in Mexico and any other places are international terrorist organizations. And people are like, well, what's wrong with that? Aren't they committing terrible acts of terrorism? No arguments. But, and this is huge, people, you have to pay attention to this. When you declare as president, El Presidente, when Donald Trump declares cartels as international terrorist organizations, that automatically frees him from getting congressional approval to wage war on those cartels. Because there's a long-standing, and it's called an AMUF authorization, or AUMF, authorization of the use of military force. AUMF, authorization of the use of military force. There is a long-standing AUMF in Congress here in the United States that says if the president deems a threat that bad, he can, without going to Congress, send the military in to take on that threat. That's exactly why the United States never declared war on Afghanistan, never declared war on Iraq, we have not declared war on a single country that we have gone to war with since the end of World War II. 82 years. The United States has been at war non-stop for 82 years. 82 freaking years we have been at war. We are still at war today. We have troops in Syria engaging in combat with Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda in Syria. How did Al-Qaeda get in Syria? The United States State Department funded Al-Qaeda in Iraq, ISIL, to go into Syria and unseat Bashar al-Assad. Don't believe me? You don't have to. The facts are there. Look it up. It's all over the place. the United States State Department under Obama, and then into Trump, and then into Biden, funneled money to Al-Qaeda, who we were fighting in numerous locations around the world to take down Syria. And now our troops are in Syria fighting Al-Qaeda alongside Israel, who, as soon as Bashar al-Assad fled, Israel destroyed, literally destroyed, every single aspect that was left of the Syrian military that was trying to fight off Al-Qaeda. Let that sink in. All because we have an authorization for the use of military force, longstanding in Congress, that says the president can do whatever he wants, however he wants. Taft, thank you for stopping in. What's up, brother? President Trump can use the authorization for the use of military force on Mexico now because he has declared cartels international terrorist organizations. And if you think for a minute that our fight against Al-Qaeda and our fight against Al-Shabaab, if you think our fight against the Taliban in Afghanistan was ugly, you have no idea what ugly warfare looks like in our world. You have no idea how ugly warfare can get, because I got news for you. The Mexican cartels are better armed, better funded, trained better, and are far more insane than anybody we have ever fought in the history of the United States. Ever. These people are radicals, and they are not afraid to blow up their own governments. They will blow up police stations, they will blow up schools, they will blow up government buildings, they will blow up tiny little mayor's homes all over Mexico, all over Central America, and South America. These people are insane, and they are itching to kill American soldiers. They are itching for it. And our president has declared them an international terrorist organization, and he will take any opportunity he can to send American military forces across the border to take them on. These people will kill American soldiers. They will kill American Marines. They've killed Americans on our side of the soil crossing the border illegally. They are not afraid to open fire on Border Patrol. They are not afraid to open fire on National Guard coming across the border. How do you stop them unless you go down there? Yes, there are troops in Poland, by the way, and you know that. These people are absolutely dedicated, and they're not the kind of dedicated, it's not a religious fervor. They are wealthy. They live for this. And our president, and I would keep saying that, has created now a means to start a conflict with Mexico by going in and taking on what amounts to a second army in Mexico and other places in Central America. Now, if that's not enough, you know what? Who cares about the Gulf of Mexico versus the Gulf of America? That's just stupidity. We could talk about that. We could talk about how that's just a stupid, childish maneuver. It's just Trump being dumb. But he said we're taking back the Panama Canal. Now, you tell me how we're going to accomplish that. How are we going to accomplish that? How are we going to accomplish taking back the Panama Canal, folks? Yeah, we built it. Yes, we spent millions of dollars. In today's money, it would be billions upon billions of dollars. And we never should have given it over to Panamanian control. We never should have done that. But now we're going to go down there and we're going to buy it back. We're going to buy it back from Panama over China's protests because China bought control of it. Literally, China bought control of it. So now we're going to have to get into a bidding war with China over China. China, as he likes to say. We're going to have to get in a bidding war with China over control of the Panama Canal. And China can outbid us. China can outbid us. I don't know, man. Tav, I appreciate you seeing it that way, but I don't like I don't know about that with the Panamanian government. But here's something else for people to understand is that Trump says a lot of things that he doesn't think through. He says some things he does think through, right? I agree. We should have never given the Panama Canal over to Panama. I don't think that he thought through declaring whatever his advisor said to him about declaring the organization, the cartels, to be terrorist, international terrorist organizations. I don't think he thought that through. He saw a problem. Fentanyl overdoses are increasing in the United States. Opioid overdoses as a whole are just devastating our country. The solution to that, by the way, is not more laws. The solution is decriminalizing drugs, taking the market away from the actual criminals, and letting adults do what they want to do to their bodies. That's the solution, period. But I don't think he thought through the terrorism aspect. He just knows we've got this problem, we're going to do something about it, and here's what my advisors are telling me to do. And like exactly, and that's exactly how I see it, Tav, is I like if the cartels want to come to the United States and fight a fight, then let them come to the United States and fight a fight. I think that's the best way to look at it. The problem is that's not how the United States fights. We always we project our power into the world, and we go after the problem that we more often than not created, in which, by the way, we created the cartel problem. The cartels exist because we created the demand for illegal drugs in the United States by making drugs illegal. It's the exact same problem. The mob had no power, had no authority in the United States until prohibition. We created prohibition. We made alcohol illegal, and that mob got super powerful. So then we had to create more law enforcement to fight that, and we had to create more violence to fight that. And that's there's just no way around it. That's just how it is. We create all of our own problems. And then we go abroad looking for the monster to slay. That's a direct, well, not a direct, it's a paraphrase of one of our founding fathers. Absolutely, Tav, I agree. So I don't believe for a minute that declaring them international terrorist organizations is going to mean that we're just going to sit back here in the U.S. and not go into sovereign countries and try and take them on. We already do. The DEA has clandestine black ops units assigned to them wherever they operate outside of the United States. Just look up the story of Kiki Camarera. What happened to him because of our drug wars in South America and Central America. So I don't believe Trump thinks through these things. I think he hears his advisors say stuff. He trusts his advisors, which if you're going to have an advisor, you're supposed to trust him. And he says, oh, this is what the American people want, so I'm going to give it to them. And he doesn't think about the long term. And he also makes promises that he just doesn't keep, and his cabinet's already started to backtrack. Tulsi Gabbard was one of his best picks. She came out a while ago and said, I do not support FISA courts. I do not support FISA 702. Now she supports FISA 702. Kristi Noem supports FISA 702. Kash Patel supports FISA 702. Over and over and over and over again. You've got Kristi Noem saying that the Department of Homeland Security is going to work to do more surveillance in the United States. You've got Trump asking the CIA to do more surveillance on the FBI, like because they don't do enough inside of the U.S. the way it is. Now he's going to give the CIA more power in the United States to surveil Americans. And that's a problem. And I want to touch on something else. He promised to free all the January 6ers. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I support 98.9% of the J6ers being freed. I do think there were some actual violent J6ers that were not federal plans. We do now know for a fact that there were feds on the ground, and there was also Capitol Police on the ground and DC Metro Police on the ground, FBI informants and actors on the ground that were working as agent provocateurs. We know that. It's admitted now. It's been proven. We know that to be true. So I do believe the vast majority of the J6ers should be pardoned or have their sentences reduced in some way. But Donald Trump went in front of the Libertarian Party at their national convention in 2024, and he said, if you vote for me, I will free Ross Ulbricht on day one. He said that. I 100% agree with pardoning them, but he made a promise to the reasonable thinking, philosophically sound libertarians that he would free Ross Ulbricht on day one, and he has not done it yet. And Ross Ulbricht is as much a victim of corrupt law enforcement as the J6ers ever were. Ross Ulbricht's one crime, his one crime, was creating a website. I just want that to sink in. He created a website that people use to do things that not everybody would approve of. Sure, people did some shady things, but Ross Ulbricht, was sentenced for all of their crimes. That's like somebody camping out on your farm without your knowledge, or even with your knowledge, but then committing a crime on your property, and instead of charging that person, they charge you for that person's crime. We are to be personally responsible for the things that we do wrong. And the way the federal state works is that you are personally responsible, and anybody you know is also responsible for what you've done wrong. And when you look at a group of people who tend to not want to vote for you because they don't trust you, because you're just part of the problem, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party are two wings of the same bird flying towards the same totalitarian reality, the same warmongering mentality. People like me aren't going to trust you, no matter who you are, without you proving yourself in the same way that Ron Paul proved himself, in the same way that Thomas Massey has repeatedly proved himself. When you make a promise to those people that if they support him, if they vote for him, which they did, and then you break that promise, even by so much as 5 hours, you're a promise breaker. And it's bullshit. No matter what anybody else says. So has Trump decided to do some good things? Absolutely. He's made some good decisions. Our government has been a problem since Lincoln, STD. Lincoln was the worst president in the history of the United States. Every single problem that we have today is directly a result of Abraham Lincoln and what he did during this American Civil War. I know people hate me for saying that, but I tell people all the time, Abraham Lincoln did not free a single slave. He just enslaved an entire population. I know a lot of people don't like my views on stuff. But that's why I keep saying them. If you have questions about it, find me on Discord, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment. You can find me on Discord. Some of you have my phone number. Some of you know how to get a hold of me. I'm more than happy to have these conversations with people. And I look forward to getting to know more, getting to know more of you better. And challenge me. I love challenges. Well, Lou, you're Scottish, so I don't know why you would be good on your American history. Some of us are good on history in a lot of places because we're just weird nerds. I might not always agree with you, but I will defend your right to say it. Thank you, Wes. Same to you. And you know that. I always have your back on that stuff. I do want to see things get better. I think Trump was definitely the way forward for the United States with everything that we had going on. I do not trust him at all. I don't think he can be trusted. I think he's going to go down in history as probably one of the more mediocre guys that's ever held office. And that's a long line of mediocrity. Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford. Reagan was actually pretty mediocre. Reagan was not that great. The two Bush boys, whew, gosh. Clinton was mediocre. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel on things. But I am home, so I got to go check on the chickens and make sure that I don't have chicken sickles. I think that stream's still going too, by the way. So if you haven't checked out the chicken streams, YouTube is really suppressing my chicken streams now. Like, they suppress all of my stuff, and now it's my chicken streams. Saturday, I had a great performance for the chicken stream, and they did not like that at all. Are the chickens caged up? They are in their coop during the really cold weather. The chicken cams are up, yes. But I really appreciate you guys all being here. I appreciate every view I get. Like I said, I know I have a lot of unpopular opinions, but I really do enjoy having pushback from you guys, and I do like to hear from you all, and I look forward to people asking questions. Was it signed, Patrick? Because I had not heard that yet. If he did actually sign, and well, it was clemency. It wasn't a pardon. If he granted clemency to Ross, then that's awesome. Oh, Bip, I always appreciate you, even when you're stupid. Well, that was Angela yesterday saying that it was done, but they keep saying it, but I have yet to see any news, and nothing's come out on Ross's X account yet, so on Twix. So now it's new. Well, we'll see. We'll see, Pat. You know, okay, I like Angela, but I want to see it. So, yeah, guys, I really appreciate everybody being here. Share this out. Reach out to me if you have pushback. As always, for all of you guys, thanks for being here. Yes, the Biden pardons were really bad. I love hashtag stupid, yes. Oh, gosh. I will catch you guys all a little later. Live tomorrow night, by the way, I'm going to the Kingsland School District School Board meeting. I am going to go and introduce myself to the school board. I've not been to the school board meetings here, but I'm going tomorrow night. And I'm planning on speaking during public comments. And you guys know that I love public comment sections during public meetings. So I plan on being there for that tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Raring to go. Think local, act local. And so until next time, my friends, fight for your freedom is yours. Fight for your liberty, it belongs to you. And say it with me, Sic Semper Tyrannis.